If you've been feeling off lately, like something in your body just isn't responding the way it used to, it might not just be just stress. It could be hormonal burnout, and your body is trying to tell you something. I'm Lesha, a nutritionist with over a decade of experience, and I've helped hundreds of high-achieving women connect the dots between their symptoms and their burnout spiral. In this video, I'll show you the 5 most common signs of hormonal burnout so that you can finally understand what's happening in your body and what to do about it. To start, I'm going to show you the most overlooked sign and how catching it early will help you feel more stable, stay focused throughout the day, and finally stop running on empty. Imagine you've just finished a balanced lunch. You've had your protein, veggies, and carbs, enough to feel full. But then, 20 minutes later, you find yourself standing in front of the pantry. Your hand reaches for the chips, the chocolate, anything salty or sweet. It feels urgent, almost panicky, like your body is screaming for it. So you eat something. And the craving goes away for a little while, but then it comes right back. This is not because you lack willpower. It's not emotional eating or you falling off track. What's actually happening in your body goes deeper than that. See, when your body has been running on high cortisol for an extended period, it starts to struggle with regulating basic functions. It begins leaning on quick, easy inputs just to keep you functioning. Salt cravings often show up because your body is having trouble regulating fluids and minerals. And the sugar cravings happen when your blood sugar has become unstable. So your body is asking for fast energy because it can't maintain a steady supply on its own. I've seen this pattern in hundreds of clients. I've had one client who would eat a full healthy dinner and then find herself at the kitchen counter eating spoonfuls of peanut butter straight from the jar. She knew she wasn't hungry, but her body was physically demanding it. So if this sounds familiar, if you're reaching for salt or sugar even after you've eaten enough, that's your body telling you that something is off hormonally. Now, cravings on their own can be explained by other things. So let me show you the second sign, because if this one is showing up too, chances are you're already in the early stages of hormonal burnout. So you're going about your day. Nothing huge has happened, but suddenly something small sets you off. You snap at your partner. You cry at something that normally wouldn't be a big deal, and you feel irritable for no reason. This isn't you being dramatic, and it's definitely not a personality flaw. It's your nervous system trying to stretch a 10% battery across a full day. So when your body's been operating on high cortisol for too long, it goes into survival mode, which means emotional regulation gets shaky. Small things feel big, and you lose your emotional tolerance. Underneath all of this is progesterone, the hormone that's supposed to keep you calm, centered, and stable, starting to drop when cortisol stays elevated. So if you've ever thought, I don't recognize myself anymore, this is probably why. But that's not the only symptom that shows up when cortisol stays stuck. There's another one that women hate talking about because it's so visible and it feels impossible to fix. The next sign, I lived it. Stubborn weight that won't budge, especially around your belly. I went through a phase where I was doing everything right, tracking my food, sticking to my workouts. I even did keto for 5 years straight. And at first, the weight dropped. But then, almost out of nowhere, the scales started creeping back up. My jeans got tighter, and nothing had changed. It made no sense at all. So I got even more strict. I thought more control was the answer, but the harder I pushed, the less my body responded. And that's when it clicked. This wasn't about calories. It wasn't motivation. It wasn't willpower. It was hormonal burnout. Here's what was actually going on. When you're stressed for too long, your cortisol stays elevated. And when cortisol stays high, your body thinks it's in danger. So it starts holding on to fat. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because it's trying to protect you. And the belly, that's where it stores it first, because that area is the most responsive to stress hormones. So you end up with weight that just sits there. You're eating clean, you're working out, and nothing moves. But the effects of hormonal burnout don't just show up on the outside. There's a different signal that's easy to overlook, and it's waiting for you first thing in the morning. Picture this. You get into bed at a reasonable hour and you get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. But when the alarm goes off, you feel like you got hit by a truck. You're lying there, bargaining for 5 more minutes or sleeping in on the weekend, but somehow feel worse. That morning coffee stops being a treat. It becomes the only way to function. You start wondering if maybe you're just lazy, or if this is what getting older feels like, or if you're somehow letting yourself down. But that's not what's happening here. When sleep stops doing its job, something deeper is off. Here's what's going on. Cortisol is supposed to rise in the morning. That's what gives you the natural wake-up energy. But after months of chronic stress, that morning spike flattens out. It doesn't kick in the way that it should. And at the same time, your nervous system has been running in overdrive. So even when you get enough sleep, you still wake up feeling exhausted. But that drained feeling in the morning is only half the story. The real twist comes when your energy flips at the exact wrong time. Do you ever feel like some days your energy is flipped upside down? You drag yourself through the morning, foggy and slow, barely making it to lunch without a third cup of coffee, but by late afternoon, you're already running on empty, just watching the clock and wishing that you can crawl back into bed. However, when the sun goes down, something changes. Suddenly, you get a burst of energy. You find yourself doing chores, answering emails, scrolling late into the night, even though you know you need sleep. You're tired, but your body won't let you rest. It feels backward, almost like your body is playing a cruel joke, making you feel flat all day and then wired at night. What's really happening is your cortisol rhythm, the hormone pattern that's supposed to rise in the morning and fall at night, has gotten completely flipped due to hormonal burnout. With chronic stress, your body starts to save cortisol for later in the day. The morning spike fizzles out, so you feel flat. Then cortisol surges at night when you finally want to wind down. That's why you're wide awake at 10 p.m. and can't get moving at 7 a.m. That's why sleep never feels restorative, and why you start every day already feeling behind. If you're seeing these signs in your own body, the next step is understanding how to actually reverse them. That's exactly what I'll walk you through in the next video. I'll see you there.